First of all, let's be clear. ISIL is a threat not only to Iraq, but also the region, and ultimately, over the long term, could be a threat to the United States. This is a threat that we are committed not only to degrade, but ultimately destroy.
The president talking about ISIS and the rise of this terror organization many feel was the top story of 2014. ISIS made non-Muslims either convert to Islam or be killed. They beheaded Western journalists, and they waged war on America. Our response to ISIS, not only big news this past year, but it will stay in the headlines for years to come. Retired Lieutenant General Daniel Bolger joins us on Midpoint to talk about the threat. Good afternoon, Lieutenant General Bolger.
Hey, Rick.
You know, as we look back at the last 12 months, did the U.S. military have more victories or defeats when it comes to ISIS?
Well, you know, Rick, it's hard to say. With these guys, it's a matter of just staying engaged against them. We win the fights when we go against them. Our aircraft can knock them out. Our soldiers, when we fight them on the ground, our soldiers and Marines can win the firefights. But it's really a matter of staying power. In the cases of ISIS, they and the people of Iraq have seen us engage there 3 times. This is the 3rd time. They saw us pull out in '91. They saw us pull out in 2011. And most of them are just waiting for us to pull out again. And that's one of the things that gives ISIS its staying power.
You know, the terrorist group has made significant progress both in the territory it controls and the wealth it has amassed. How do you think the U.S. and its allies have handled the growing threat the group poses? Do you think there has been that staying power?
Well, so far we're hanging with it, but we've only been at it a few months. We don't yet have a congressional resolution, which I think will be very important to set the stage for a long-term commitment. The president has, I think, wisely warned the American people this is going to be an effort of multiple years. That's good. We didn't hear that a lot when we were fighting in Iraq before, under both the Bush and Obama administrations. In fact, each year we heard how we were almost ready to wrap it up. But it's really going to be a matter of commitment. And we don't need a lot of American forces. The 3,000 or so folks that we got over there are great men and women in an advise and support role with some air power. That'll be enough to keep things keeps things engaged over there. Because what we really want to prevent is ISIS settling down, forming terrorist training camps, and then dispatching teams into our country or our allies.
Well, Lieutenant General Bolger, a lot of people are saying, though, that just having those 3,000 troops does limit us in our strategy. Would boots on the ground make us much more effective?
Well, I think boots on the ground do make us more effective. And the important point here is those boots on the ground are being supplied by Iraqis. Now, we shouldn't kid ourselves. The Iraqis are not the greatest army in the world. We beat them handily twice. We only had a couple years to work with them, and while they worked okay when they were auxiliaries to us, they are not the greatest fighters in the world. So they're going to need a lot of work to be able to hang in there. But they do count on our support, and they will carry that fight on the ground. Selected Americans may have to go in and do things, our special ops troops or advisors with Iraqi units. But this is going to be their fight with us in support. And I think that's what Iraq really wants, is to be able to count on U.S. support. If they don't get support from us, they're going to turn to somebody, and the indicators that may be Iran.
All right, we want to move right now to Russia. Let's talk a little bit about the Ukraine and, of course, a lot of turmoil in the Ukraine. Tell us, has the United States done anything right now to deter Vladimir Putin as we enter 2015?
Well, I think the United States is doing the bare minimum, Rick, which is to say we're supporting our NATO allies. Remember, Ukraine is not part of NATO, so we're supporting the countries that are part of NATO, like Poland and the 3 Baltic republics, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all of which used to be under Soviet influence. Those 3 Baltic republics were actually part of the old Russian Soviet Union. So we're supporting them. We haven't really done more beyond rhetoric as far as supporting the Ukrainian people in their struggle against the Russians. And we should never forget that Vladimir Putin, he's a former KGB officer, former member of the Russian secret police. He was a lieutenant colonel in the KGB during the Cold War. This guy has no love for the United States or Western ideals, and he's going to do whatever it takes to put the old Soviet Union back together. So we need to be on alert to that. We need to be sure that we make it clear to him that he cannot move any further without us getting involved.
Well, what specifically would you recommend? You mentioned rhetoric. There have been some economic sanctions. Any other specific measures?
Absolutely. We have, of course, our ally Turkey controls the entry into the Black Sea. Our Navy can do exercise in the Black Sea to support our NATO allies in Romania that are also Black Sea neighbors and Turkey. We can do exercises in Poland. I mean, right now we've sent very, very small U.S. units, a rifle company, 100 or so guys. I mean, we could send significant forces in there for exercises, and I think we would find that the Poles, the Lithuanians, the Latvians, the Estonians, Romanians, they would welcome that.
Interesting, specific recommendations. I'm going to cut you off right there because we've got much more to talk about with Lieutenant General Daniel Bolger as we look at the change of the mission in Afghanistan. Keep it right here.